something is not right. I have chosen to call this video "The Many Who Think They Are the Few." Jesus said, "Few there be give an example of the worship of falseness. Few there be that find it. Few there be that find the truth." And I have written down some thoughts about that. I've mentioned it before, and it's been a while since I've made a video, I know, because I think I have said what should be said. But these people, these so-called Christians, are both deaf and blind, because they wish so much. I mean, people that identify with the Christian dogma, identify as Christians, I mean, and believe and have chosen to believe in the Christian dogma. They want so much to believe that just by believing they are worthy of eternal life in the kingdom of heaven. But how can you deserve that by constantly, and I mean constantly, directly contradict the one they claim to believe in? And this one is, of course, Jesus. They keep pointing fingers at others, threatening them with eternal hell, which does not exist, by the way, and demanding of others that they should stop sinning. But they don't do it themselves. They will not touch the law of God, which they demand that others should do, others should uphold. They will not touch it with one finger after they have confessed one single sin and then declared that they believe in Jesus. Then they, after that one single confession of one single sin, or maybe one single bunch of sins, they just stop upholding the law of God. So that is hypocrisy, if anything is. So what they demand of others, they will not do themselves, because they think they are accepted from the law of God, accepted from upholding the law. But that is a man-made invention. That is not what Jesus said. That is not what Jesus stands for. That is not what Jesus told the disciples to do. And what Jesus told the disciples to do, that is what we all ought to do. I don't say I do it, that I master it, but I lean towards it as much as I can. Sometimes in periods of my life I don't. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfectly righteous. If I claim that, I would be a liar. Because that is a long process to learn to become a righteous soul. And only, as Jesus also tells us, only the righteous souls, those who have mainly done good and mainly avoided doing evil, only those will have become worthy through their righteous works to enter the kingdom of heaven. You can read Matthew 25:31 to 46. Yes, Matthew 25:31 to 46, where Jesus described the end of the world. Which is also called Judgment Day, the day of judgment, where it will be evaluated if you have done enough or had not done enough to be worthy of an eternal life in the kingdom of heaven. And only few will become worthy, because only few can endure all that in a world full of lies and deceit. I have written down, now I go away from the images of the city here. I think it's New York, some are from other places. And now, if you have a full screen, I will have a white background, very much white, because it's my word, my writer plays a white background, a lot of white, and a little black text. So prepare yourself for that. If you sit in a dim room, it will become bright now. Oh, there was my picture. So I have chosen to call it the many who think they are the few. And I have written down this in Matthew 7:13 to 14. In the Bible, you know, the one the Christian says are the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I don't agree with that. It has been corrupted. But in the Bible, Matthew 7:13 to 14, Jesus is quoted to say, "Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be that which go in thereat." It's a little hard to read this old English. And because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. As I said, few. Notice this, few there be that find it. Now, as I've written here, by the year 2023, it was officially estimated. I don't know if it's true or not, that precise number, or it's about there, that there were about 2.4 billion people, 2.4 billion people who believed in Christianity, in the dogma of Christianity, and identified as being Christian. Can that many people, more than a quarter of this world's population, be considered as being the few who have found the Creator's truth? Of course not. And that number in itself witness of that 2.4 billion people have chosen to believe in a man-made dogma rather than believing in Jesus. I'll get to that later. Why is man-made? Because the Christian dogma clearly, directly contradict the words of Jesus as they are written in the Bible, and thereby the dogma also directly contradicts the Creator which sent Jesus. I mentioned Matthew 25, 31 to 46, Judgment Day. And as far as I know, Judgment Day has not happened yet. And in there, Jesus describes how those who have been there for their fellow man, who have done good, who have done the righteous work, who have loved their neighbor as themselves, they love themselves, who have done to others as they would that others do unto them, and not done the opposite, mainly done that, they are welcomed into the kingdom of heaven, because they have done the righteous works. And he also mentions all those who have not done that, and they will be rejected from entering the kingdom of heaven. It is so clear when you read Matthew 25, 31 to 46 about Judgment Day, which has not happened yet, as I said. You know that because Jesus had not come and judged us all on our works. But the Christians obviously believe that they have already been secured a place in the kingdom of heaven by just believing in the Christian dogma. It's a shame, it's sad, because that is not true. They think just by believing in that is all they have to do. And as I said, they do not lift a single finger to do what they demand of others, that others should do, so they can be part of their little club, which is not so little after all. There's 2.4 billion people. That is the biggest one today. It's easy to be a Christian, isn't it? Because you don't have to do anything of what Jesus told the disciples and everyone else to do, and that means also them. In the Bible, here we go again, I move on here. In the Bible, we can read these quotations of Jesus. He that loved me not, keepeth not my sayings, Christians, and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me. Whoa, wait a minute. John 1:1 and so on, where it is mentioned that he was the Word, and the Word came down, the Word of God, and he was God, and the Word was God. Well, you cannot say, when you read this, the word which ye hear is not mine. That means, of course means, can you read, dear Christians? Can you read? The word which ye hear is not mine. So that means that you interpret John 1:1 and so on, the first part of the Gospel of John. You read it wrong. No, you do not read it wrong. You do, but you interpret it wrong. And here again, for I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. Who is him? Who sent God according to you? Who sent the Creator according to you? Is there another Creator that sent the Creator, the only Creator? You see, you are contradicting the words of Jesus here. I know why you do that. Because then you can say no one can live up to God. That's why you call Jesus the Creator. That's why you keep insisting on calling him the Creator. No one can live up to God, that you say. So therefore we don't have to do what Jesus told the disciples and everyone else to do. That is your attempt to justify not doing the will of God? No. That won't work. And then you follow it up by faith alone saves, not the works. What a lie! What a lie! And who or what would claim such a thing? Who would fool you not to do the will of God? Who will be the promoter and supporter of a teaching which tells you not to do the will of God, not to follow Jesus, not to, as the disciples do? Who will tell you that? You talk about Satan and the devil. And in my eyes, that they are symbols. That's symbolic talk. That symbolize the evil and deceit of the world, the injustice of the world, and the evil and deceit of the world. That's who or what people of evil intent, they are the ones who invented Christianity. It was actually Emperor Constantine, the Roman Emperor Constantine, which gathered people, gathered the priests and so on of the already unjust and false teachings and asked them to gather different texts and into one big book, which later were called the Bible. And this Bible has then been corrupted through the ages, more and more. But many of the words of Jesus still hold up to this day, because these deliberate liars who corrupted the Bible do not know what these words really mean. That's why the way he said it was so smart, so intelligent, because they came from God, which sent him, that these lies, and they did not dare touch too much of the words of Jesus, but by now they have been changed that much that they have lost, or are starting to lose more and more through the ages, that they have lost more and more their original meaning. Because these interpreters, these translators and interpreters of the original text, they have said to themselves that I'm trying to find out how to formulate this. I know it is falling asleep, so I wake it up, as I call it, when my screen does that. But they have written the words of Jesus. They have written, they have read the words in the Bible, and then they say, oh, but it can't. That must be a false translation, or they must have made a mistake here, because I think it means something else. Because they think dogmatic. They think from the false teaching, then they have made it mean something else than what it originally meant. Plus, many of these texts were already corrupted when they were chosen, but not as much as they have been today. Well, moving on. That's not what I want to talk about. So, these things here, the word you hear is not mine, but the Father who sent me from, for I came down from heaven not to do my own will. How can you misunderstand that and still say, and the so-called Christians know these words of Jesus from the Bible, yet they still claim that Jesus is the Creator? And hereby it's proven, without a shadow of doubt, that the Christian dogma directly contradict Jesus. And I told you why they do that. Because that's the only way they can claim that you should not do the will of the Creator. That's the only way you can claim, by lying, by contradicting Jesus, that you cannot live up to God, that you can claim this lie, faith alone saves, not the work. But it is exactly the words and faith. It is a combination of both which saves you. Because if you believe in Jesus, then you believe in what he said, what he told the disciples to do. Then you believe in what you should do, that you should do as Jesus told us. And everything that Jesus stands for, because that is what the Creator stands for. And what he was told by the Creator to tell people. Everyone. So here I have proven without a shadow of doubt that the Christian dogma directly contradicts Jesus. The question is, sorry about that. The question is, why so many people gladly accept such an obvious direct contradiction of the word of Jesus? The question is, why so many people claim to believe in Jesus, while at the same time directly disagree with his words, which is written in the very same Bible, which the majority of them claim to be the flawless truth of God. That's how the Christians contradict themselves. But because anyone who tells a lie, a dirty lie, keep repeating that, will eventually start contradicting themselves with other lies. That's how it is. So you see, all this will tell you that the Christians are not the few. Few there be that find it. They are not the few there be that find it. And the number alone of Christians which officially exist in this world, the number of people which officially believe in the Christian dogma, the 2.4 billion people. That alone, a quarter of this world's population, 1/4, more than that, they cannot be considered the few. And because they lie through their teeth, they directly contradict Jesus. They are obviously not the few. They're not of God. Sadly, but true. And in my other videos I have already told you how to find the truth. And I already told you that only those who sincerely seek the truth and sincerely try to do what Jesus told the disciples to do, only those will understand and are able to receive and understand more truth. Only those are able to really understand what the words of Jesus really mean, because then they will live the truth, and then they will experience the things that Jesus describes with his words, both in the Bible and elsewhere, but most only know them from the Bible. I recommend the Gospel of the Perfect Life. I have a video of that where you can pause and read. I have recorded it all, page for page, where you can pause and read that. I don't say anything, I don't talk there, I just show it. Because I've chosen to not have a web page with it. Maybe later I will arrange to have a free web page. You can have that and then put it in there so you can download it and have it for yourself. Hopefully I have had that for a long time, have a PDF which were available for people to download. Hopefully that can be distributed by others and so on. But and right now, people, Jesus said, and you shall be hated by all because of my name, because you try to stand for what I stand for, quoting Jesus, or pretending to quote Jesus here, but you should be hated by all. And people hate you. You should know they hated me before you. If you were of the world would love its own. But now you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you. I think he started with not with people, but when the world hates you. So 2.4 billion people hate me right now, at least. That is only the official number. But it's not me they hate, it's the truth they hate, because they love the lie. It's sad but true. The potential, and I repeat, the potential of evil is limitless with thinking that way that the Christians do. But thereby I am not saying that all Christians are evil. No. Most are just hold back, and many try to do what's right and avoid doing what's wrong, according to Jesus. But I'm just saying that if you think that your works, your deeds, your actions, your thoughts, words and actions, if you think that there is no consequences for it, no consequences at all, just because you believe in Christianity, in a man-made dogma. And you don't have to do what Jesus told the disciples to do. If you don't have to follow and trying to obey the law of God, if you think you are accepted from that, and you not actively do good and actively tries to avoid doing evil, then what are you doing instead of that? Instead of actually trying to do good, and instead of actually trying to avoid doing evil, what are you really doing instead of that? You're not progressing. You're not learning to be a righteous soul. You're not evolving in spiritually, because you don't try. You don't strive to become a righteous soul. And again, I refer to Matthew 25:31-46, Judgment Day, where Jesus describes this. You don't try to live up to that. Yet you demand it of others and stand on the street and yell on others and threaten them with an eternal hell, which does not exist, by the way, because karma is what takes care of that. Everything you do to others in this life will be done to you in the next life. That is the karma. If you don't want to hear, you gotta feel it on your own body and soul. And that's why many of you have tried that in this life. Many, well, if not all, have tried this. But also the good. Remember that. Also the good you are able to do to others. Also the neighborly love and justice, righteousness, the righteous works that you are able to do will be rewarded to you in the next life, will be done to you in the next life. Don't forget that. But that's how karma works. Karma is real. And when I say next life, I mean reincarnation is also real. That is also true. So it really matters what you do to other people. And you can say to yourself, oh, but that's the next life. What does it matter in this life? I don't care. Well, the next life you will care. And if you have trouble with things you have experienced in this life, challenges in this life, then just know that's because you need to learn. It's a teaching from God. They should all be taught of God. It is also in the Bible. Jesus says that. And they shall all be taught of God. How can you be taught of God if you stop learning? If you just say, oh, I'm a Christian, now I don't have to do all those things. What a freedom I have. Yes, to do any degree of evil, you think. You think you're allowed to do that from God? Of course not. You think that will have no consequences? Well, of course not. Of course, I mean, of course it will, but you're wrong about that. But of course it will have consequences. Anything you do, anything you think, say, or do, have consequences. Either in a negative way or a positive way. If you meant it, it's the intention you had. If you have a negative intention, if you have an evil, unjust intention, then that will of course have a negative karmic effect. And if you had a good intention, good will, then it will have a positive karmic effect, of course. So, the Christians are not the few. There be that find it. They are not these guys. Because they obviously, how can you claim to believe in Jesus and constantly contradict his word? That does not make sense, dear Christians. You gotta leave that. You gotta leave identifying got to stop identifying as Christians and start doing what Jesus told the disciples to do, what he told everyone to do. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do not do unto others as you would not that others should do unto you, but do unto others as you would that others should do unto you. That is the essential. That's the same as Matthew 7:12. All you want, all whatsoever you want that others should do, that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. And do not do the opposite, of course. For this is the law and the prophets. But det alone. For this is the law. I went into Danish there. For this is the law of the Creator, of course, which you should obey. This is the essential thing. Love, which is the same as love thy neighbor as thyself, as you would want to be treated with love, so you should treat others with love. As you want to be treated, treat others that way, and do not do the opposite. For this is the law and the prophets, which is so the true prophets had always said. That is the original message. And you hear a train right now because I live near the train tracks. I'm not sure if you could hear that. But I've said what I should say about this. So the many who think they are the few are the many. Leave it. I'm telling you, Christians, you are wrong. And you are obviously wrong. You are provably wrong. But you could read the words of Jesus in the Bible, and they tell you, and they are my witness, and they tell you directly that you are directly contradicting the words of Jesus. He who is not with me, he or she who is not with me is against me. So if you're not with Jesus and you directly speak and contradict Jesus and speak against the truth of God which Jesus told us, if you directly do that, then you are against Jesus. Then you are the Antichrist. Being against Jesus, Jesus is the Christ, you're against the Christ. And that means you are Antichrist, you're not pro-Christ. As long as you identify as Christian. I'm sure that many of you people mean well, but you don't understand that it really matters to practice righteousness. That's what really matters. Practice to be righteous person and not be the opposite, unrighteous, unjust, evil. You got to strive for that. That is really how you follow Jesus. And that is really how you do the will of God. Matthew 7:12. Which is the same, as I said, to love thy neighbor as thyself. Love is of God, and God is love. And whosoever loveth not those who do not love, do not know God. So if you don't practice love, if you don't practice righteousness, which is love, neighborly love, if you don't really practice that and avoid doing the opposite, then you don't know God. So do that. That's what it's all about. That's what we're here to learn. I have said enough. I just need to underline that. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Strive to become righteous soul. That's what it's all about. You have been fooled, Christians, to not do the will of God. That's what you've been fooled into by the false teaching, or what you want to call the dogma of Christianity. You are not the few. You are the many. Currently. In the name of the Creator. In the name of Jesus, whom the Creator sent. I am speaking these words. I'm telling you this. Bye for now.